Brenda Fassie, Miriam Makeba, Hugh Masegela, Mandoza, Johnny Clegg, and now the newest edition of the greatest South African entertainers of all time, Keenan, aka Forbes. The country of South Africa is a nation like no other on the planet. It is rich in almost everything: minerals, culture, breathtaking landscapes, exclusive animals, sports, and racial diversity. However, there's one final important element that is the oxygen of the nation. It encapsulates the spirit of Mzansi and provides the soundtrack to the citizens' daily lives. It is distinct, special, and celebrates the unique identity of South Africans, and that is South African music. As mentioned in the introduction, there are only a handful of individuals that have been able to transcend and capture the sound of South Africa, grabbing the attention of the masses and becoming generational talents. Now, while there is no doubt that AKA is the greatest South African rapper of all time, I think it is far more interesting and important to focus on the fact that he is actually one of the greatest South African artists and entertainers of all time, which many people may not realize. AKA did not limit himself to hip-hop and rap, even though his foundation and rise was definitely due to the genre. Before AKA burst onto the scene with his breakout hit, Victory Lap, off of his debut album, Alter Ego, the South African hip-hop industry was a completely different industry to the one that Keenan Forbes found. That is not to say that there were not great hip-hop acts like Pro Kid, Zola, Double HP, Squatter Camp, and many others that paved the way for AKA. But it is to say that hip-hop during that time was not a commercial, marketable, and profitable form of music in South Africa. It was only until the Super Mega came along that he really put the genre onto the next level, and during the peak years of his career, from 2014 to 2019, hip-hop became the #1 genre in the country for the first time ever. The difference between many South African hip-hop artists and AKA is that he infused and incorporated many African sounds and South African references into his music, which led to the creation of his own unique style and sound. For example, where most South African rappers would say, "I'm an all-white snowball," AKA would say, "I'm dressed in all white, Omo," which is a way more clever and relatable way of putting it to a larger audience of South Africans. That is one of many examples of the genius behind AKA's music. He was never scared to write music that most South Africans could relate to, from kids in the townships and homelands, all the way to private school kids and young adults in the working force. AKA always made sure to talk about pop culture and current events in his songs, along with his braggadocious bars that transferred the feeling of confidence and at many times arrogance that AKA was feeling to you, the listener. He made you feel just as confident as he was. A similar feeling that one of his idols, Kanye West's music, gives people. The Super Mega's music is incredibly infectious. He knew how to craft a catchy track and put together a collection of classics throughout his career. The amount of consistent hits that AKA recorded, produced, and performed is something that we may never get to see again for a very long time. He continued to drop smash hits after hits after hits after hits. It's actually crazy if you think about it. Keenan only left us with 3 solo studio albums before he departed from this world. Alter Ego in 2011, Levels in 2014, and then Touch My Blood in 2018. He did also release 2 collaboration projects with Anatii and Costa Titch, Be Careful What You Wish For in 2017 and You're Welcome in 2021. He also released an experimental EP titled Bova Mania in 2020. Let's put the music to the side for a moment. For me, what separates AKA from the rest and how he ultimately gained my respect is for the fact that he was a true, proud South African patriot through and through. He was not embarrassed or shy to represent his country, which many South Africans are. South Africa is nowhere near perfect, don't get me wrong, but there is nowhere in the world that is perfect. Many South African celebrities intentionally do not represent South Africa, but will indirectly represent America and the West through the cultural influence of the West. And those places have their own problems, issues, and struggles as well. Whenever there were untrue rumors flying around in the media about South Africa, AKA time and time again was the only South African celebrity with a huge platform that constantly defended his country and his people. He did a lot more for South Africa and Africa outside of the music. Music was the vehicle that he used to accomplish this. Now, back to the music. I believe that the next offering from AKA will be his biggest and best work to date, Mass Country. The album will most likely be his last that he had full hands-on involvement and contribution. He said that he named the album Mass Country because there are so many different sounds on it that it will appeal to all the masses in the country. He wanted to make an album that will have a song that every South African would like, not just hip-hop fans, but all the masses. Also, he said that Mass Country is a play on the name Maskandi, which is a genre that inspired this album and is a popular form of South African country music. Mass Country arrives on the 24th of February 2023 and is already laced with hits like Lemons, Lemonade, Prada, Paradise, and Company. We cannot wait to hear what the last gift that Keenan Jared Forbes left for South Africa, and for the world. Long live Super Mega, live long.